Welcome to the Threads of Becoming podcast, where women are woven together through faith and purpose.
This is a space for women who are becoming, growing in faith, walking through real life, and discovering who God is shaping them to be.
A place of encouragement, honesty, and shared wisdom for every season.
Here, no woman walks alone.
We're honored to serve as your village. Welcome back, ladies. Heather and I are so excited to have this opportunity to be together again. We have dealt with some issues in being able to get these episodes done for you. She has had some illness, and we really appreciate all the prayers and encouraging messages. Heather, how are you feeling now?
So much better. I have turned a corner, and I am getting back to feeling like myself again.
Yes, I know a lot of nasty stuff has been going around, but thank the Lord, He does work miracles. And she even lost her voice, which was the main reason we couldn't get the episodes recorded. But we're here now. We're excited to jump back into this last episode related to the peace over performance theme that we've been running with for the month of January. And I don't know about you, Heather, but this theme has really stretched me spiritually in all kinds of ways. How about you?
Yes. And yes does not seem to give it the credit that it's due. It's been very challenging because we didn't go into this having perfected that statement in our life.
Right.
So God is definitely stretching us as well. So we're doing this with you, ladies, not ahead of you.
Right, alongside you. We want you to know that just because we have boldly stepped out in faith and answered this calling that God has placed on our hearts of being able to talk about these hard topics that not a lot of women want to talk about, or maybe they do want to talk about them, but they're afraid of what's going to happen and what feelings are going to come up when they do start talking about them. Because when we look at our relationship with God, we are looking into a mirror, right? He is a mirror in our lives, and He shows us the sin and the struggles and the things we need to work on. And pruning and shaping is a hard, painful process sometimes, right?
It is. Absolutely. It hurts because you have to take a good long look at yourself in the mirror. I certainly have, and you know that because I've shared with you throughout the month how I'm being stretched, and it was much harder than I anticipated it would be. I'm thankful for it because I'm learning so much about what peace over performance means to God, but by no means have I fully embraced it.
Right. And here's the thing that we want you ladies to realize as well. And Heather and I were talking about this in depth yesterday on the phone. It's not a destination. Peace over performance is not something you achieve. It's something you're constantly working toward. Just like you never achieve a certain status as a parent or as a spouse, you're constantly waking up every single day making conscious decisions to keep working on yourself and to keep working on that relationship. So, we talked about the concept of peace over performance in our marriages, in our relationships with our children and other people that we love. Now we're going to talk about it in the context of our careers and callings. And the reason that we separate these two is because not every woman feels that she is living out her calling just because she has a career that she enjoys or is walking out right now. And not every woman feels like she can call it her career when it just feels more like a calling. Maybe she's a stay-home mom like you, Heather, right? And I was a stay-home mom for many, many years as well. If God calls us to become a mother, I feel like that is the most important calling we can have. What are your thoughts on that, Heather?
It's definitely a calling, especially for someone like me who has been a mother, a housekeeper, a wife for over 30 years. You start to lose yourself in that, and you start wondering, who am I anymore? Not to say that being a wife or homemaking is less than a
Mhm.
call to, say, healing ministry or evangelizing or teaching. To me, it is greater than those things. And I think it is greater to the Lord than the fivefold ministry. But we are also uniquely created by God, and we have a
Mhm.
unique calling and destiny on our life. I know for me personally, I've reached a place in my motherhood and being a wife and a grandmother. God, what is it that you put me here for?
Right.
Aside from that calling, I have giftings that I know step outside of the realm of
Right.
homemaker, wife, and mother that I think is also important and a conversation worth having because we are more than being a mother and a wife and a homemaker. And um, we can get lost in those roles
Mhm.
and forget who it is that God's called us to be on the earth for such a time as this.
That's so funny. I'm actually wearing the shirt that says, "Perhaps you were created for such a time as this."
I didn't even notice. It's
It
blurry, so I
yeah,
could
it does, and I'm turned to the side, so you really can't read my shirt, but that's so
No.
funny that you
Mhm.
said that. But when you and I were talking yesterday, I also mentioned the quote that I had heard that was so powerful related to this that says, "Peace is not the absence of work, but the absence of striving for your worth." And I think that's so important because when you said more than a mother, more than a wife, more than a grandmother, more than a housekeeper, and things like that, we don't want to diminish the role of a mother or a wife at
No,
all.
not at
It's
all.
not
No.
this is not saying that if you want more, that what you have is not enough. It's very important, ladies, that you hear us say that because that is not at all what God has for you. He has an abundance of rewards in this life and in heaven for you for living out the callings that He's put on our hearts. And I agree with you. I believe each one of us are born with unique gifts and talents and desires that He places within us, matched with our personality traits. And that's what we are supposed to use to walk out this life on earth in the relationships that we create, in the occupations that we have, in the everyday activities that we do, and the things we do with our children and the things we do with our spouse. It's not to say that being a mother or wife isn't enough. It's basically saying that there is more you can do alongside motherhood, alongside being a wife. Do you agree?
The word overflow comes to
Mm.
me.
Uh-huh.
It should be an overflow from your motherhood, from being a wife and a homemaker. For example, I feel very strongly called to healing ministry. I'm very passionate about seeing people get healed physically, spiritually, emotionally. You learn how to walk out those ministry gifts at home. You learn about healing through raising children, being a wife, being a mother, running a home. Your ministry should flow out of the things that God has given you to steward in this life.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful way to say it because, like, for example, back when I had the daycare in my home, for that season, I believe truly that was my calling. Now, I had to sacrifice a little bit of time and attention with my own children, even though they were in the home with me. They didn't get my full attention because God put me in that season of giving that time and focus to those children who came through my home. And that was a very hard thing to walk out because I was so passionate as a mother and I was so passionate as an early child care provider. So I did that for 14 years, and it was a bit of a sacrifice. Just being able to get up and go do things with my kids every day and leave the house and just have that carefree life. I wasn't able to have that because I had to stay at the house and educate those little children. But now those children have become college graduates and mothers and fathers, and it has just been such a blessing to see them walk in their calling and their gifts because of the time that I was able to devote to them. So it doesn't matter what your career is, what you're doing every day as a stay home mom. The biggest thing I would say is you need to pray and ask God what He wants you to focus on in this season of your life. Because again, I don't feel like we are only given one calling throughout our entire lives. I feel like there are seasons. What do you think about that?
As we are becoming,
Mm,
the calling that he has on our life and the different seasons that we walk through, I believe are training ground for that. And so
hmm.
it's going to evolve throughout our life in different seasons and how he's going to train us and use us. And I think so much of the core of what we are called to is the training is found within the home, within our family.
I
So,
agree.
yes,
I
absolutely,
agree.
I would say that.
In those everyday little mundane moments that we think,
Yes,
I feel
won't
like
matter. Yeah.
exactly. Like, I feel like my voice doesn't matter. Like, what I wear in the daytime doesn't matter because I'm just going to get baby spit up on it or the dog is going to get me dirty. Like, what's the point? Are we just here to wipe noses and bottoms and do laundry all day? It can definitely feel like that. So, what I want to talk about is what does the pressure of performance look like in being a stay home mom?
Well, one of the things we had talked about was when you feel like you are behind, when life
Mm.
throws stuff at you, like what I have dealt with lately. There's a sense of shame that is attached to when you think or feel like you have fallen behind, whether that's in your housework or your daily to do list and schedule. When life comes at you, it gives you no choice but to fall behind
Right.
and be still and rest, even though everything in you is saying, get up, girl. You need to do the things. The
Hmm.
Lord is pulling you back and trying to teach you, me, peace over performance. But when you get in that rut of feeling like you are behind as a mother, as a housekeeper, as a wife, the shame that comes with that and the
Mm.
comparison,
Hmm.
especially with social media,
Yes.
can be unbearable at times. And then you start to, beat yourself up, and then you have mom guilt and wife guilt, and you feel like you're never going to get back on top of things, and you're never going to get caught up, and you're never going to get ahead. And, the truth is, you never are.
Right.
Even under the best of circumstances, you're never going to be ahead of the game. You can never have all of your bases covered because life will
Right.
make sure of that.
Oh, yeah.
And when you think about performing, you think about being on a stage,
Hmm.
acting. It's a play. It's
Yep.
not real life.
Yep. Playing a
And
character.
playing a character, yes.
Mhm.
So in essence, is what we're doing when we are performing. We are trying to portray this image of ourselves on a stage that doesn't exist to
Right.
receive applause and praise from an audience that doesn't exist.
Right.
And instead of from a stage, we should view our life from the pulpit
Mm.
where we are giving the message, the real, true, raw message of what life really is, which is messy, who
Mhm.
God really is, which is peace
Mhm.
and love and grace and goodness and kindness, and be honest with ourselves that we can't be everything to everybody. And life is not an act, it's not a stage. We don't get to rehearse for it.
Ooh,
There's
good
no
one.
dress rehearsal, and every day that we live this life is by the grace of God, and we have to realize that it is only because of Him that we're able to do anything that we do as mothers and wives and humans.
Absolutely.
All that said, I think one reason why we as women find it so hard to choose peace over performance is because we don't quite understand the peace that God gives. And
Mhm.
I was thinking about that this morning. I was talking to the Lord about it, and that was what He said to me. You don't understand what peace is. And I said, well, help me to understand. And He said, peace can only be found in presence.
Yes. That is so good because, like I said, we can feel like we need to be doing all the things. And if God were to call us to heaven right there in that moment, and we were to stand before Him and we were like, yep, God, I kept my house clean for my kids and I always made dinner for my family and everything. And I made sure that my kids were taken care of and they were able to do all the fun things and have all these activities and great friends. And He says, but did you stop and talk to them about me? Did you stop and tell them not to look for their worth in this world and look for their worth in me? Did you have those conversations? Because those are the things that He plants inside of us as mothers to share with our children. It's all about being present with God all the time, making sure that He is guiding your words and your steps and your actions during the day, whether you're at the top of the ladder at a corporate business or you're the CEO of your home, because that runs like a business as well. Like you were saying, Heather, we play
Mhm.
all these roles. And again, the world is a stage. I've heard that phrase a lot lately, and it is so true. We are wearing these masks. We don't want to take them off because we don't want people to see the real us. Even in our conversation yesterday, you and I were like, should we say that on the podcast? You know, how raw and real do we want to get with this? And God is really telling me, I don't know if He's saying the same thing to you, but telling me we've got to start talking about these hard topics because these are the things that keep women up at night. These are the things that cause women to feel like maybe I don't love my family anymore. Maybe I'm
Uh-huh.
just not the right mom for them. Maybe I'm not the right wife for my husband. And maybe they would be better off without me. And those thoughts can lead to
Yes.
some detrimental actions simply
Uh-huh.
because we are putting these impossible standards on ourselves. And who
Uh-huh.
suffers? Who suffers because of that? The people who are sitting there waiting for our presence, not our performance. They're not wanting us to be perfect. They're wanting us to be there, fully in the moment with them. Your little one is wanting you to sit down and watch them draw something. And you can talk to them about God while they're doing that, right? Your teenager is wanting you to just sit there, even if they're on their phone or whatever. Sometimes just you being in the room. I promise you, anytime I have had an office in my home, it don't matter how big my house is. It doesn't matter even that my kids have moved out. I am the center figure of my family. The
Uh-huh.
first person people look for when they come into my home, all of my children, all of my grandchildren, my husband, is where's mom?
I agree.
Where,
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it can feel a little bit overwhelming sometimes, but at the same time, it's like I can't have a closed door policy with my family. My door always needs to be open because that's their safety. You are the glue that holds the family together many times. So if you fall apart, then everything else is going to fall apart, right? But that doesn't mean you have to be perfect to hold it all together. It means you need God. It means you need
Yes.
to prioritize and not let the world dictate your actions, but lean into being present with God so that He can guide your steps. What are your thoughts on that?
The enemy, Satan, is really good at whispering to us women on how to perform and where to perform to keep us distracted from presence. So you have a very real enemy pulling at you from the time you open your eyes,
Mhm.
demanding that you perform. And ladies, we have to fight for presence. It's not just going to happen.
Hmm.
God is a gentleman and he has given us a free will. He's not going to force us or push himself on us or beg us. He will woo us and call us and whisper in that still small voice, "Hey, remember
Uh-huh.
me? Come to me. Come to me, all of you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." And you have to be very intentional to listen. And I'm speaking to myself because I am the poster child for a woman, a mother, wife who battles with shame and feeling like I am not enough in pretty much every area of my life. And that has been something I have battled with my entire life. Even as a small child, shame has been my constant companion, my constant enemy.
Hmm.
And the only remedy against shame as a woman, as a mother, as a wife is getting into the presence of God and allowing Him to remind you of who you really are and what you really mean to Him and what you really mean to your children and your husband. Because when it's all said and done, a clean home or a home cooked meal or laundry being done perfectly all the time is not what your kids are going to remember.
Right.
They're going to remember when mama is home, there's peace.
Mm-hmm.
When my wife
Absolutely.
is home, there's peace.
Yes.
When you walk into a room, there is peace because you
Yes.
have been in his presence. And I, again, am not saying these things because I'm good at it.
Mm.
I'm saying these things because it's the truth and I'm learning it and I desire it. And I'm learning to make room in my life and in my emotions and in my mind and in my home for His presence because it is the key to peace over performance. And it's not an easy thing to step over into because your flesh is going to scream and the
Mm-hmm.
enemy is going to scream. Because if you ever grab hold of the power of presence over performance in order to have peace, you will change the trajectory of your entire family
Yes.
and those that you meet along the way in your life that God puts before you. And it's no small thing.
It's the biggest thing. We were talking about this yesterday. There is a reason that God gave us the title Threads of Becoming for this podcast. It's not super catchy. It's not flashy. It's not something that probably other people would have chosen for SEO optimization, but it's what God chose for us because it's not about threads of achieving, threads of reaching the finish line, threads of accomplishing. It's not a destination. It is a journey that we need to lean into God's presence to be able to help us get through those challenging moments. Because honestly, from the moment Heather and I opened our mouths to announce this podcast, the enemy came after us hard in our marriages, in our health, in our relationships with other people. It has been a fight to even get together once a week to bring these
Mhm.
episodes to you all. But we are not giving up. There are times when we were like, is this even going to work? Is it going to be worth it?
Yeah.
Is this really what we're supposed to be doing? But God keeps bringing these little whispers into our spirits, like Heather was saying.
It does look so different for everyone. For me, it is, and this may not sound like performance. Maybe it's more of a fear of missing out, but I will scroll my phone
Mm,
before I start my day, or I will immediately hop up out of the bed and good morning, everybody, and let me pack lunches and let me iron, the baby's clothes for the day, or knocking on my son's door, making sure he's gotten up. And all those things are not wrong, but once you open your eyes, it's just human nature. You start performing. You start doing
mhm,
all the things that you're supposed to do as a mom.
mhm,
And it's not always a bad thing because we have responsibilities, but I think it would be helpful to understand some ways that we can choose peace over performance. And when I was talking to the Lord about that, He said, first of all, we must host His presence and host His presence before we host our families, before we host the world around us. Host His presence by way of surrender, by way of praise and worship, by way of reading the Word,
mhm,
by way of abiding in Him, by
mhm.
way of prayer, by way of cultivating peace, because it is a fruit of the Spirit.
Yes. Those are really, really good practical strategies to be able to achieve that peace in your life because it does all begin with Him. Now, speaking from the career standpoint, if you are not a stay home mom and you're focusing on your career, or maybe you're trying to learn how to balance the two, let me just say there is no balance in life. It is an illusion. So don't even waste your breath or your time trying to do that
Mhm.
anymore. It's all about proportion. It's about
Mhm.
choosing to have peace in whatever you're putting your time and energy and efforts to in that moment. When you're spending time with your children, be there. Be there fully. When you're at
Mhm.
your job, be there fully. But invite him into your day. First
Yes.
thing, you don't have to be on your knees at your bedside. You can invite him into your day when you're warming up the car and asking him to give you a safe trip to work and back from work, asking him to watch over your children and provide a hedge of protection around them. You don't even have to have your eyes closed, right? You can do this when you're sitting in traffic. He is everywhere and he is everything. So he should be in every part of your life.
Well, and having peace matters to God. There's a reason why He calls Himself the Prince of Peace.
Mhm.
He doesn't call Himself the Prince of Joy, the Prince of Love, the
Mm.
Prince of Faith. He calls Himself the Prince of Peace, which to me speaks volumes of how much value He places on peace. It's a gift, it's a fruit of the Spirit. It's also a command. And I don't know that as human beings, we have placed the value on it that it deserves. We have not given
Mhm.
it the honor that it deserves, and we treat it as if it's optional, and it's not. As a believer, it should be something that we choose every day because He has given it to us. And I want to learn more about the beauty of that, the dance
Mm.
of peace with my Savior, who the scripture says, here it is, Isaiah 53:5. The punishment that brought us peace was on Him.
Mm.
I want to learn to have a great appreciation for the beauty of that and the gift of that, not just for myself, but for my children and my
Mm.
husband. And I haven't. Oh my goodness. No
Mm.
matter what the laundry room looks like, or the
Mhm.
kitchen sink or the bedroom floor or dirty toilets. If we, as women and wives and mothers, became peace in our homes, what a legacy
Yes.
to leave our children, to be known for peace. How beautiful is that?
Absolutely, because it's the most important gift we can give them is our presence and our peace, our peaceful presence, basically, in the home. Because we, as CEOs of our home, whether we work outside the home or are stay home moms, it doesn't matter. We are still the center figures of our homes, and we set that tone. And our family deserves the best of us, not the rest of us.
Amen. Yes.
And when we feel that shame and that guilt, it's actually a good thing because it lets us know that we care about these people. We care about our spouses. We care about our children. So don't ignore that shame or guilt. Don't try to sweep it under the rug. Don't try to act like it doesn't exist. Lean into it because where God sees us is not from a place of shame. It's a place
Mhm.
of repentance. The only reason we're feeling shame is because we're allowing the world to determine our steps. We are allowing the world to say, dance, monkey dance,
Yeah. To set the standard. Mhm.
exactly to set the standard. That is not God's standard. His standard is not, hurry up, get this done. This looks awful. You got to get this done by this deadline. You know, this isn't perfect. This isn't clean enough. You need to be doing more. You're being lazy.
Mhm.
He is not about the hustle. He is about becoming more holy. And he gives us
Mhm.
these children to steward their souls while we're on this earth.
And
They
their
belong to
hearts.
him. Yes, their hearts. They belong to him before they belong to us. He's loaning them to us. He's loaning our spouses to us, right? He says, love one another as I have loved you, right? Love your neighbor as yourself, and your spouse is your first neighbor, and your children are your second neighbors. And then, people that you love, people in your family, people in your circle that we talked about. But I think this is such an important topic, and we could go much, much, much deeper, but we don't really have time. So I think these are some great practical strategies to be able to implement into our lives to find that peace. And it all truly does come down to starting your day with Him and inviting Him into your life because He is the Prince of Peace. That's all we have for you today.
Until next time, we pray you practice peace over perfection
And grace over guilt.